Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Great Eight Sports Memorabilia Charm City Heavyweights podcast. I'm the host, Matt Trigger. With me is my co-host, as always, Josh Merrill. What's going on, Josh?
Tell Matt coming live from the man cave. It's been an exciting day.
It's been a very exciting day, and one of our special guests tonight is my perpetually late brother, Drew.
Late as a motherfucker.
Thank you for making us 26 minutes late, Drew. I appreciate you coming on the show tonight. Are you deaf?
He's talking, man. His sound's working.
His sound's not working.
This is great.
That's great. That's A-OK, asshole.
Oh, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. This has been the best show ever, man.
And we were just getting started.
I wish we could have been recording a few minutes ago. People would have been laughing with me. That was funny. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Anyway, just to promote the upcoming show, on Thursday night we have a Maryland Terps show with special guest Dino Gregory, former Maryland Terp and Mount St. Joseph high school graduate. We're going to talk Maryland Terps on Thursday night and getting ready for the
I'm excited for that one. That's a big
Big Ten tournament and the NCAA tournament. Yeah, let's get down to business, Josh. Drew, can you hear us yet? Can we hear you? Nope. Obviously, we cannot.
This is perfect.
I am honestly astonished at the lack of technology, efficiencies that he has. Okay. Anyway, Lamar Jackson. Josh, it's been a long day, my man. It's been a real long day.
Man, the Ravens shocked me today. I didn't expect that. I would not have bet anything on that.
The non-exclusive franchise tag.
Non-exclusive. But the more, at first I was in shock, and then the second emotion was, I thought it was genius. I thought it was a brilliant move. I think, we know the NFLPA just filed a grievance against the owners. I think a deal was struck between the owners. I think Bisciotti said, look, the dude wants $250 guaranteed. It's going to change everything. If one of you idiots fucking give it to him, we're all going to have to do it. And I think teams are dropping out like flies in the Lamar hunt. And I think the NFL is having Steve's back on this and protecting their own interests. And Lamar's not going anywhere. And I don't think he's going to get what he, was originally offered. He's getting, he's pissing me off. He's been a dick. I feel like through a lot of this process, and the Ravens just gave him a huge fuck you. Is how I feel.
Oh, definitely. I'm with you on that 100%. I believe that they're trying to reset the quarterback market and take it towards a downward turn.
The owners do not want guaranteed. Cleveland's owners are moron, and that's how they look at them. They are not going for this, man.
Oh, for sure. I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing that at all. I'm just thinking to myself, they're trying to get the quarterback market to settle down and go back down, into the low 40s or the high 30s. Daniel Jones is getting 40 a year. Derek Carr's getting around 40 a year.
Yeah.
And
and the Ravens offered Lamar $50 million a year. I mean, come on, that's leaked.
It has. It really has. I'm not disputing that either.
He just wants it guaranteed. They offered him they gave him what he wants. He just wants it guaranteed.
Oh yeah, he definitely wants it guaranteed.
And they're not doing it, man. It changes the game. It changes. Everyone's going to want new deals, and when does it stop? It's the quarterbacks, then it's the receivers and the tight ends, and then it turns into Major League Baseball, and it's fully guaranteed every cent. And they don't want to do it. At the end of the day, it's their league. It's their fucking money.
No, I get it.
I wouldn't want to do it. If I'm a billionaire, who would want to take $250 million cash out of your account, put it in an escrow all at once, all that interest they lose? It's horrible business. Horrible.
Yeah, it's rough. I really believe this is going to be a gut check for either the organization or Lamar Jackson himself, and I'm leaning more towards a gut check for Lamar. And I'm not saying that because I'm pro Ravens and anti Lamar. I want Lamar to get paid, but
Yeah, me too.
I really believe whatever self worth he has in his head, he's going to go out and get,
Dude,
you know, courted as a potential free agent
he doesn't have
acquisition.
that fucking agent to level his head. He
He
doesn't have
doesn't.
that agent to take the shots that the team's going to say, hey, yeah, he won MVP, but he's only got one playoff win. You know, he was on a team that was built to win a Super Bowl that year and fucking choked. You know, and now they're saying this to Lamar, and there's not an agent. An agent doesn't tell the player all the nasty shit the team said about him. You know, trying to get him the cheapest deal possible, and there's no middleman. Eric said the two times he's talked about it publicly, it's different negotiating with a player. You know, I'm not going to say things to a player that I say to an agent. So it's just, you know, that's why I believe they should have to have fucking agents. Um, he's not
Or
qualified to negotiate a fucking $250 million deal.
yeah,
Come on.
I do agree with you. It's
Can y'all
definitely,
hear me yet?
difficult. Yeah, we can hear you now,
Sweet.
folks. I wanted to bring on a special guest, former Raven safety. I had him on my solo show a couple weeks ago. He is here to talk Lamar Jackson, former Ravens Super Bowl champion Bernard Pollard. Bernard, what is
Oh,
going on, man?
Matt, you gonna have them boys out here after me, man.
What's going on, man?
Man, I'm chilling. I just put the kids down. I got a couple things to do, but I had to. You know what I'm saying? I can't pass my dog up. You asked me, so I got to show up.
My man, I appreciate you. I saw you arguing on Twitter. I was like, you know what? He's on his phone right now. Let me hit him up real quick.
Bro,
And
I try not to
that's
argue. I
daily for
don't
him.
exactly. Hey, Drew, don't put me out there like that, bro. I try not to argue, man. But it's one of those things where people don't want to hear me, and I've been trying to lay this thing up for so long, and now it's blowing up in everybody's face, and everybody trying to figure out why, and everybody's trying to point the blame, and it's just like, dude, I wish everybody would listen a long time ago, including Lamar.
before we go any further, Bernard, I want to congratulate you on your setup now. You got the official headphones, the official mic. You got the footballs in the background. You got the laptop in front. Like you are honed in, and you are officially on the
He's clear too.
podcasting
Maybe he got
circuit. Yeah,
a camera or something, or one of those
he's
lights.
got the crystal clear camera
Drew,
now.
Drew, I'm gonna fight you, bro. I've been had the camera. I just didn't have everything. I didn't have everything hooked up, and yeah, man, it's I don't know what's been going on. My camera went out earlier. Me and Carrie were shooting earlier, and the camera went out. So if it goes out, I don't know what the freak the problem is. But yeah, man, no, I am excited to have everything connected, and
And
yeah, it's a lot of fun.
yeah, you and Carrie are doing big things over on the 1223 podcast. I've been listening to your guys' show.
Yeah, appreciate you.
It's interesting to see you guys' perspective. Before you came on, though, Bernard, we were kind of talking a little bit. Josh seems to think that the owners are in a roundabout way colluding.
Collusion.
He believes that they got together and said, "Hey, if we pay him, if we have somebody pays him this big guaranteed money, it's going to be a domino effect because now it's not just one QB, it's two." Where do you fall in that line of thought?
So, Josh, I think one of the big things everybody got to understand, just because the Cleveland Browns did what they did, that doesn't mean every organization has to do or has to follow suit. I mean, just because they make a stupid decision, that doesn't mean everybody else is going to make the same decision. So when you have, I was just talking with somebody a little bit ago about this. When you have former players over here talking about, or on Twitter and just releasing this mess on ESPN, talking about, something smells funny. This seems like a collusion thing. This is not collusion, because at the end of the day, when the NFLPA did their when they did their the NFL grades and on the facilities and everything else, there were 3 organizations that made players pay for their food in the offseason. 3 out of 32. Why isn't this collusion. You have all these other things that happen that some organizations take on that some don't. This is not a collusion thing. The Ravens, I believe, put out a lucrative deal to Lamar. I do not think this is not a money thing. Lamar, I think they make Lamar top 3 to 5 highest paid quarterback in the National Football League. I think he deserves to be between 2 and 3. Being one, I mean, I think that they're willing to do 2 or 3. They've done it before. They've made Joe Flacco over $100 million quarterback. So we can't think that this is not going to be a thing, right? Like we've got to look at it from this point of view. Lamar is a special player, and the Ravens offered Lamar. So by them offering Lamar, now it's to the point where they offered him. I believe they offered him before. He should have set out the 2022 season. He should have never played. And I tried to tell him to sit, do not play. He thought that he was going to be different. He thought that Ozzie and more of Eric DeCosta, but Ozzie is still in the building. He's still in his ear. He thought that they were going to, because he stepped out on the football field and did a good thing for the team, that they were going to do a good thing for him. That's not how business works. And as I tell people all the time, a lot of people are bringing up Roquan Smith. He was he doesn't have an agent. He got the deal done in weeks. Okay, he's a middle linebacker. I tell people all the time, when you look at quarterbacks in the National Football League, they're the second highest paid player in the organization. Who's number one?
The left tackle?
The owners.
The owners. Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
I didn't.
So
I'm on the wavelength now.
So we got to think about that. So when you go to put this money into guys, the quarterback is now making more than you're making more than every coach on the staff. You're making more than any executive in an organization. You're making more money than the president. So that falls under execs. You're making more than any player on the team. You're making more, and the only person above you is the owner. That's the only person above you. So now when you look at doing that, they were willing to make Lamar that. They're not willing to make a middle linebacker that. So they can easily get a deal done with a guy that there's not levels to a middle linebacker's contract. There's levels to a quarterback contract. And this is why Lamar needs an agent. It's easy. I was my own agent so after my rookie deal, I was my own agent. It's easy for me to get, I can escalators, they're easy. That's all easy verbiage. For a quarterback, okay, well, if you throw for 45 touchdowns, if you lead the team to whatever such and such wins, if you go to the playoffs such and such times, if you with a quarterback, if you come to all season, that's awesome to have a veteran quarterback in. So have that in his contract because he's teaching the young guys, and then the offense is still clicking to have him in. There's levels. And then when you look at the type of quarterback Lamar is, now we got to look at, okay, well, hold on. There's levels to this, and there's language we need to put in because Lamar, the back-to-back years, yeah, we told you in good faith, come out and play for us. And now when you come out and play, we're going to do you right. Well, you came out and played, thank you. But now you came out and played and got hurt again. Regardless of how people look at how he got hurt again. And then regardless of people want to say, well, he took a stance to not go back in the game because, his injury wasn't whatever. Okay, let's say his injury wasn't whatever. He still didn't come back and help the team. When he helped the team accumulate wins to be able to go to the playoffs. Now, when we in the playoffs, we don't have Lamar because he's taking a stance on, I'm not coming out here because y'all didn't give me a contract. Well, that's too late, buddy. Now you done already played out there with your teammates, put yourself in positions to go to the playoffs, but then now you're not putting the team in positions to be able to compete in the playoff to go to the Super Bowl. Well, let's say if he really was hurt. Those doctors and everybody else, ownership, all the execs, they all see those MRIs. They all see the reports from the x-rays. Whatever happened, they see. So now they're holding that over his head. He lost all leverage. There's no collusion here. So now what they're saying is, okay, so Lamar, it's not a money thing, it's a language thing. And if you don't want us to put this language in a contract, if we spread the money out in a certain way, we do certain things and say certain things. So if you get hurt or if you miss games, or if you miss plays, if we miss out on playoffs, whatever it may be, we take this money back from you, or however they want to put it. And Lamar's not agreeing to that. They're saying, okay, well, now we're going to put the non-exclusive tag on you, and we're going to show you what everybody else thinks about you. Who's going to give up 2 first-round picks, $50 million, $48 million a year to a quarterback when you've been hurt back-to-back, and then we got to give up our future for you, and then we got to hand over the keys for you to be the second highest paid player or highest paid person in this organization, and then we don't even know if you're going to be here. And then you got to look at it too. Do they need Lamar Jackson to come to Detroit, Atlanta, the New York Jets? Do they need him to go to whatever or other organizations? Do they need Lamar Jackson to come and do what Lamar Jackson was doing with the Baltimore Ravens? They don't need Lamar Jackson to come and be Superman. The Ravens need Lamar to be Superman. Every other team doesn't need Lamar to be Superman. So when Lamar steps into another offense, they're saying, Lamar, we have 5 receivers on our roster that are better than any receiver you had in Baltimore. We have running backs on our roster that we need you to hand the ball to, toss the ball to get them. They're going to run. We have an offensive line that's going to block for you. Sit in the pocket. I said it before. If Greg Roman leaves Baltimore, it exploits everything about Lamar. And this is what's happening right now.
That's a very good point. I didn't necessarily want to believe it was a complete collusion type of event. It seems very convenient that it looks to be that way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was saying this earlier to me, Josh, and Drew were in the group chat, Bernard, and it seems like we're gonna find out real soon whether Lamar Jackson is overvaluing himself and his talents, or the Ravens are severely undervaluing. And like you said, they could have made him a lucrative offer. And I believe what you said online, and I believe what Josh said to me earlier, that there was probably language in that contract that completely turned him off from saying yes. Because if they're offering him $250 guaranteed, hypothetically speaking, if that's the number, you don't turn that down unless there's something that's really going to turn you off from the entire situation completely. And to your point, and Josh, I want you to chime in on this too. Lamar Jackson is Superman here. Like you said, if he goes to another team, Bernard, they don't need him to run for 1,000. They don't need him to carry the ball 15 times a game. We spent 4 years building this offense around him, the offensive linemen and the skill position players. And then another thing that people aren't considering is wherever he goes, Mark Andrews isn't following him.
That's his safety net. That's his baby. Exactly.
There you go, Josh.
That's his safety net. Josh, what man,
it's just a messy, shitty situation. I think both sides are hurt now. Both sides probably got their feelings hurt. I don't even know how I feel about it. I've been hard on Lamar for a while. I was angry with him. I know there's a business side to it, but I'm a Ravens fan, so I was angry. I wanted him to play. But there's always that small bit of hope in the back of my mind, like maybe they can figure it out. Because, man, I defended him, argued for him for years, and it's just shitty, man. It's shitty. It's shitty.
Drew, how do you feel about this whole situation? Like, do you feel like there's any collusion, or are you more along the lines of what Bernard's feeling?
Yeah, I was pretty much on point with what Bernard was saying. I don't see how teams are willing to give up all that to maybe have them start 10, 12 games a year.
Yeah. It's not worth the risk.
And Bernard, knowing that you've been involved directly with the organization on the negotiation front, do you believe that if there was an offer that Eric would have liked or that Steve would have liked, that he would have been gone already?
Yeah. And I mean, it's still a possibility that they can still ship him off. Because it's going to come down to this. It's going to come down to if Lamar continues to stay gone and doesn't come to the facility. So as they go through after the draft, they're going to have the rookie mini camps. And so now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. They're going to draft a quarterback. They're going to draft a quarterback, and I think they're going to go after Stetson Bennett, who the OC has been with the last 4 years. So going after Stetson Bennett to bring somebody in that already knows this system. So I don't think they go after him in the first round, but potentially trading up in the second or doing something to get a quarterback because they got to protect their balls. They got to protect their balls. So we got to get somebody that's used to this, and then it becomes this deal right here becomes a prove it deal for Lamar. If they do not come to a long-term agreement, it becomes a prove it. Not only a prove it to stay healthy, but a prove it to, hey, can you learn this offense? So we're going to pay you $32 million to learn this offense. And if you can't learn this offense, if somebody come along, because after teams aren't stupid, if Lamar is, if the offense isn't clicking and they're not scoring points and Lamar just kind of looks a little unsettled back there, teams aren't dumb. So now they're going to start, hey, it went from 2 first-round picks to, hey, man, I got a second and a fourth and maybe a future third, whatever it may be. It becomes now the Ravens don't want to lose leverage on the product. And so as I tell people this all the time. You know, when I was with the Baltimore Ravens, and I say this, I don't ever say I was on the same level as Lamar. I was a defensive player. I did not play offense. I'm not a quarterback, but I knocked the piss out of you. So one thing who I am is I'm confident on what I say, what I do. I didn't play on 4 teams because I was bad. I played on 4 teams because I spoke up, and I will continue to speak up. When I negotiated, when I came to Baltimore and I signed a 2-year deal. The 2-year deal, really the second year meant nothing, right? So after my first year, once again, as I tell people all the time, me and Ozzie negotiated. John Harbaugh didn't even know I was coming to the Baltimore Ravens. So when Ozzie called me, told me to come, Ozzie was like, yo, Bernard, you're the last piece that we need to get us over the hump to win a Super Bowl. Like I told Ozzie, I said, hey, I believe that. I want to be able to come. So when I came, I signed a 2-year deal. So I told Ozzie, I said, after my first year, Ozzie, we're going to come back to the table. We're negotiating an extension. Ozzie said, okay, cool. So Ozzie said, I told Ozzie, I'm not coming there to sit the bench. Ozzie, I'm coming to start. I said, Ozzie, you called me. I didn't call you. This was right after the lockout. So when I got to Baltimore, like I said, John Harbaugh did not want me there. He wanted Zibikowski and Haruki to start. So when I got there, I talked to Ozzie, and I was like, Ozzie, look, man, I came here for a reason, and what we're looking to accomplish is not going to be accomplished if this man continues to try to blackball me. I said, Ozzie, just release me, I'll leave. So Ozzie was just like, no. So I went to Chuck, and I told Chuck, I said, Chuck, I'm the starting safety. I said, I don't care who says whatever. I said, I'm the starting safety now. So opposite of Ed. So I came in to start. After that, obviously, we played that year. We ended up losing in New England after Billy missed the field goal.
Oh, my God.
I know, right? I don't mean to bring that up, Josh. My bad.
Yeah.
So
cried like a baby, man.
Hey, man. So when we come back to the negotiating table, like I came to Ozzie, and I said, Ozzie, I said, this is what I bring to the table. I said, Ozzie, I want to be here. And so Ozzie said, Bernard, we love everything that you bring to the table. But we can't pay you for everything you bring to the table because we're afraid you're going to get hurt. And I go, Ozzie, get hurt? What do you mean get hurt? He go, Bernard, the way you play, we're afraid that you're going to knock yourself out and potentially we're going to lose you. And he was like, we don't want to have that much money tied into you and we end up losing you. I said, Ozzie, I've never knocked myself out playing this game. I said, but nevertheless, I said, I want to be with this team. I end up signing a 2-year extension for $11 million, right? So this is where the blackball came in. So I want everybody to understand that story because this is how they negotiate. They love what Lamar brings to the table, but at the same time, they don't love what Lamar brings to the table, and they don't. So they'll give him a lucrative contract, but not according to Lamar terms. This is where we're at with the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson. They love him. They want Lamar. Lamar is an MVP. I think this is probably one of the first times we've seen an MVP player do, and all the offensive accomplishments and everything else that he's had, sitting here almost begging for a contract that has yet to be signed. But we got Daniels, or the kid out of the Giants, Daniel Jones. He got paid. You got Kyler Murray getting paid. They can't hold a candle to what Lamar has done in the National Football League. But once again, it was done under a certain system and with the Baltimore Ravens. That was Greg Roman's system with the Baltimore Ravens. That changes everything. No, with the mutual agreement to part ways with Greg Roman, that took leverage from Lamar because this is no longer Lamar's offense. Everything that was built around him, for him, the only person that could do it was him. No longer, that doesn't exist. So now Lamar has to come into a brand new offense, and they were still willing to negotiate. But when he didn't accept the deals according to their terms, he wanted it on his terms. Now they're looking like, okay, bro, we're gonna let the market tell you what you were. And every time a team turns him down, and people talk about collusion, we see all kind of crazy things in today's society, right? Teams are saying all kind of crazy stuff on social media. Players saying all kind of crazy stuff on social media. When teams are coming on social media saying we're not pursuing Lamar Jackson, the Atlanta Falcons, they said that on Twitter. I mean, this right here, his leverage continues to just they chop away at it. And so now, does the same offer stand that they offered him the first time? If the market, I mean, and he can be everything he want to be. But if the market showed you, bro, nobody wants you, now you are. Now the Ravens looking like, come on over here. Because they can sign him for cheaper. I think they still sign him. I mean, if Daniel Jones got 4 years, 160, Lamar Jackson can get that. He can get that easy from the Baltimore Ravens. But it's going to be under a prove-it deal. And the longer he stay away from the facility, the less he knows about that playbook. The quicker you get to the season, the less he knows about that playbook, the more we ain't going to know Lamar. Lamar's going to have to make checks at the line of scrimmage. What he's been wearing. I said, what has he been wearing? A mouthpiece over his mouth. So how are we going to make checks? Now we got to get an offensive line that can actually block and create a pocket and everything else. And we're putting receivers in positions because they're going to have to. You can't do it in the draft. They're going to have to attack somebody in free agency as far as receiver wise. Mark Andrews can't be the safety. He can still be a top target, but he's got to be used in different ways now because the offense is going to look completely different.
Bernard,
that's a good point.
Yeah, but where do you see this ending, Bernard? Where do you see this ending?
Where I see this ending is Lamar is going. I was never ever worried about Atlanta, and I tweeted that earlier. I was never ever worried about Atlanta. This tweet having any substance. Atlanta has Ritter or whatever his name is, the kid out of Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken. That kid is him. Yes, that kid he's athletic. He can run and he can throw. Like, what do you need to like? You don't need to go get Lamar. Because, you got players around Ritter and build the running game, build the offensive line, and tighten up that defense. When you look at the Baltimore Ravens, I look at this whole situation and I say Lamar at some point is no longer a Raven. I mean, I really believe that because, like I said, with the offensive coordinator change, they're going to draft a quarterback and they're going to, even with a rookie quarterback, they're going to stay competitive. They're going to stay competitive. I mean, you look at all the years with Joe Flacco, with the defense and what Joe Flacco was doing offensively. Joe Flacco finally kind of hit his stride, and the offense was okay. That defense has always been what Baltimore is known for. And so the defense is going to continue to be a top defense. They're going to continue. They do well drafting and bringing in free agents for the defense. They've got to completely change up that scouting room when it comes to the offense because they've got to do better. And they're going to have to either put a rookie or they're going to have to go get somebody that's going to be able to make the checks, that's going to be able to manage the clock, that's going to be able to put them in better positions offensively. And Lamar's done a great job of that, but he's done it through athleticism, not necessarily through outsmarting people. And I don't want that to come off a bad way. I'm not saying Lamar is dumb in any way, shape, or form. I'm saying we know Lamar for his athleticism. He's exciting. We know him for his highlight reels. That's what we know Lamar for. And like I tell people all the time, I don't want to take this away from him, but Lamar doesn't win the MVP if he doesn't rush for over 1,000 yards. I mean, Patrick Mahomes destroyed him offensively when it came to passing stats. But Lamar won the MVP because of his legs that year, not because of his arm. And a lot of people say it, but the truth hurts.
And it's a lot of people will probably buck on you about that because he led the league in touchdown passes, but he didn't even hit 3,500 passing yards because of he had the 1,200 yards on the ground. So I wanted to kind of bring something up to you though, Bernard, about that. About what you were saying, there's not going to be a huge fall off. Hypothetically speaking, if the Ravens do let Lamar go and we get the 2 first-round picks, I believe that then we have enough capital to where if we want to move up and grab a quarterback in 23 or 24, it's not like we're losing everybody on offense. We still got the O-line. We still got Mark Andrews. We still got Isaiah Likely. We still got the running backs. So I
Kohler.
believe we could Charlie Kohler. We could still be competitive. Do you believe that the Ravens could still be competitive if a rookie were to be a starter next year?
Yes, the Ravens can be competitive with a rookie, but you still got to change. That offensive line is built for Lamar. The offensive line, they're not built to really stay strong at point of attack and to create pockets. Why? Because Lamar can evade. He knows how to run. He's instinctive, and when the first read, second read may not be there, he knows instincts go run, and so that offensive line is built for that. Yes, they need to tighten up on at the guard position. Yes, they're going to need to get a better left tackle. I believe it's left tackle. Yeah, they're going to have to get a better left tackle. They're going to have to fix that offensive line. And this offensive coordinator, I guarantee you, he's literally in the lab looking at, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I need to do it. So to your point, like you say, if they do end up getting, if somebody come in and give up the 2 first-round picks, yes, they can move up and potentially take a rookie early to allow him to start, or they can say, okay, well, let's wait till next year. Let's continue to tighten up at the skill position, fix the O-line, and then we look to next year drafting a quarterback, which maybe that class is better than this class. There's only a couple quarterbacks I like in this class, and I do not see Baltimore moving up in the top 4 or 5 to even get one of them. Oh, that's bold. But yeah.
Why don't you like any of them, Drew? Huh.
The best one seems to be Stroud, and everyone's on Bryce Young, but I just think he's maybe 195 pounds.
No, he's like 180 pounds.
Okay.
And he's 6 feet tall, which means he's 5'10".
Hey,
yeah,
man.
I just think there's no way he's gonna be a number 1 quarterback anywhere.
Well,
we've seen Ohio State quarterbacks continue to just not do good.
I do. I agree with you on that one, Drew. I look at the history of the quarterbacks, but I think when you look at Stroud is probably the best quarterback in pass. He's probably the best quarterback and the best pure passer to come out of Ohio State. I wasn't fond of a lot of the guys that have come out of their football program, but I look at Stroud is good. He's really freaking good. And I mean, Young is good as well. I do fear because he is so small. I look at him like I look at Lamar, right? Lamar is not a big man. And taking those hits, everybody say, with the rules and everything else, at some point in time, he's going to take hits. You still can sack the quarterback in the pocket. And at some point, you're going to be falling on the quarterback. So I worry about, right. And so I worry about that. I think he can make the throws. He's good. He's smart. His arms. He can throw the freaking ball. Stroud is the best one, but I think potentially they're looking at the 24, that 24 draft, and yes.
Before I hit the 24 draft, though, Bernard, everybody fell in love with Anthony Richardson earlier in the week until
combine hero.
Until you look at his throwing, where he literally has the same problems that Lamar had coming out of college. The throws from the hash mark to the numbers, he's throwing behind the receivers. And in the NFL, you throw behind on a out route or a corner route, you're getting picked and taking it to the house. His measurables are great. He's 6'4". He's 240 pounds, 235 pounds. I would feel like that if we had the opportunity to draft Anthony Richardson, it would be the same thing as drafting Lamar all over again.
I do agree with you. Anthony Richardson is not ready to play. He's. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like to hear he's a project, but he's definitely a project. The things that he did at the combine were phenomenal. And and Carrie and I actually talked about this today on the show. But as I said on the show, the thing about what when I look at Anthony Richardson and to look at what he did at the combine, because he was prepped and ready to go. I don't care what nobody say. He was prepped and ready to go. He knew what to say, how to respond, how to say it, when to say it. He knew how to go out there and perform. He went out and ran, and of course, his shorts and T-shirts and things of that nature. He had no pressure as far as people putting pressure on him to throw a football. There was some pressure that he had to perform, but at the end of the day, I still think in today's football, with how lax things have gotten, I don't think any pressure was on him, and that's my opinion. But I look at this and I go, this is why Lamar needs an agent. An agent prepped him and got him ready to go. And his agents won round one. They won round one. Why did they win round one? Everybody's talking about Richardson. Everybody talking about him being potentially the number 1 overall pick now. And I mean, I'm looking how crazy that is. I mean, how crazy that is. A kid, I watched him play Florida State, and I was disgusted. He had 2 good throws in the 60-minute game, and I was just like, yo, bro, like, and my nephew is a recruiter at Florida State. Him and I was texting, but nevertheless, his agent did a really good job, and this is what makes me so annoyed with Lamar, because I'm looking like, bro, your mom can't do it. You can't do it. You have got to be prepared. You've got to let somebody go in and fight this battle, because your agent is going to shield you from management. Your agent is going to shield you from hearing what they truly say about you, because when you represent yourself, you step out there and you're the one that got to hear everything that goes in your ear straight from the horse's mouth. It goes straight into your ear, and then now Lamar got to walk downstairs from talking to the execs and then go to work. And then he got to come back in the next day knowing what they said about him. Well, agents shield you from that. And this is what I respect with the agents and the people that Richardson put in place. I'm looking like, bro, his agents didn't win it. But, just to kind of go back over that, I mean, the kid's a project. I mean, you already heard
we have enough
Mel
projects.
Kiper, right? It's too many projects right now. And, Mel Kiper talking about he's going to be the top 3 rushing quarterback. Like, we don't need him to come in and rush because he's going to get hurt. I mean, yes, he can be elite. He can be that one elite guy offensively, that has the ball in his hand every single snap. But we got to understand, there are 11 elite guys on defense. There are 11 elite guys. And once they figure you out, it's over. All we got to do is look at Lamar. He was phenomenal his second year, phenomenal his third year, and it's just been a fall off since then. And so when you're rushing for 1,300 yards, that costs something. When you're rushing for that much, it costs something. Your body is tearing down. So when you do take a hit in the pocket, some people might say, well, he took a hit in the pocket and he wasn't even rushing at time. Well, let's look at all the hits he's taking already. That does cost something. So it's the Richardson kid, I mean, it's cool to see. It's cool to see him jump a 40-inch vertical. It's cool to see him 10-9 or whatever broad jump. That's cool. But at the end of the day, when is he going to line up and just run 40 yards in a football game? He's got to read a defense. He's got to stay in the pocket. And then now with Kenny athleticism come out, because I played against players that have run 4-1, 4-2 in a 40. And when they get on the football field, you don't see that. It doesn't translate. So we don't know if that translates.
That's a good
Bernard,
point.
how would you feel about going with Huntley for a season? You think we could have a winning season with Huntley?
So if Greg Roman was still there, I'm saying no. With this offense changing, I've said it before. A lot of people was bashing. They bashed Huntley, bashed him. Huntley is a passer. I like Huntley. When Huntley is in this offense, he's in an offense where everybody is expecting him to be Lamar. And people might say, no, we're not expecting him to be Lamar. We're just expecting him to throw the football. Well, at the end of the day, this offense was created for who? Lamar.
Right.
So when Huntley backs up the pass, all of his progressions, everything else is built for Lamar. So now if you try to quickly go in and change that, in the game plan and everything else, the Ravens was preparing for Lamar to always come back. They didn't want Huntley and them to play as much as they were playing because this is Lamar's thing. So this is why I believe the mutual agreement to go their separate ways from Greg Roman and the franchise, they're looking like, bro, we screwed. Because when Lamar go down, we got these dudes trying to come in here and play Lamar's offense when they're in the no-win situation. They're in a no-win. The first thing y'all do. So, Drew, if I ask you to go get in Matt's car, Josh, if I ask you to go get in my car, what's the first thing y'all gonna do when y'all get in my driver's seat or get in the other one driver's seat?
Make adjustments.
You're gonna make adjustments.
Definitely, right.
You're gonna make adjustments because you're gonna say, "Whoa, wait a minute! Bernard sits back too far, or he sits up too close, or Josh sits this way." They can't make those adjustments because that offense is for Lamar. They couldn't make the adjustments. So the only way you can make the adjustments is you have to cut ties with Greg Roman. That's the only way you can make the adjustments because he's built this thing where there were historic numbers. There were records being set under this offense. But now people got a hold of it, and Greg Roman looking like, wait a minute, like we doing what Lamar capable of doing, and he's been successful with it. Well, okay. Well, now we got to open this thing up and say, okay, if Lamar goes down, our backup has got to be able to come in and lead us to the promised land. We've seen it with other quarterbacks that have stepped in. You know, Foles stepped in for Wentz, stepped in the offense. You know, it was a neutral offense that wasn't catered to Wentz. Right. So look at all the quarterbacks that came out of New England behind Tom Brady. Brissett, Garoppolo, they came in and was able to do things in that offense. The Baltimore Ravens looking like, yo, we have got to do something because our backups they're screwed already. They're screwed when they come in the game because this isn't theirs. They see it. They're not dumb. Even though I might say John Harbaugh, he knows nothing. He knows nothing about offense or defense. He's a special teams guy. But at the end of the day, I believe management had to make this decision and say, Greg, you got to go. You got to go. Let's part ways. We don't want to fire you. Let's part ways. I believe they're still
that bothers me.
Right. Hey, and
why can't they just say we fired him?
Well, because to say we fired him, they know to say we fired him, they know he has information. So if they say we fire him, now Greg Roman can come out and say, no. This is what happened. This is what happened. This is who said this. This is who said that. Like look, at the end of the day, the defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, he just got he got the head coach job for the Arizona Cardinals. So he went to and answered some questions at the podium during the Super Bowl. He didn't answer them the right way. What's the first thing that happened? The safety for the Philadelphia Eagles came out publicly and said what he didn't do. We're going to have the repeat effect. So if they say we fired Greg Roman, now wait, Greg, you fired me? Oh no, y'all. So now when that mic get put in his face, guess what? He gonna spill the beans. So that's why it had to be a mutual parting of ways, so that he keeps his mouth shut. And the only way he keeps his mouth shut is we say, okay, Greg, we'll pay you. We'll pay you. And if that means you got to double dip, to keep your mouth shut, stay shut. Keep it shut. Don't say nothing. That's what this is.
That's a good question, though, Josh. To follow up on Huntley, though, I do believe that, given the circumstances, he has a better arm. I think he makes throws that Lamar does not make.
I think he's more accurate than Lamar.
I believe he makes better decisions, getting rid of the ball, and he'll actually throw it out of bounds, or he'll try to throw it to the check down. Because Lamar doesn't throw to the running backs. Bernard, you played on a team where Flacco threw to Ray Rice almost as much as the wide receivers.
Right.
And now you're having a situation where Huntley, if Lamar does go, Huntley's the guy. He's the only remaining quarterback. So now if you bring in somebody like a Stetson Bennett, like you said earlier, that's going to push Huntley to learn this offense even quicker. I believe that he's smart enough to learn this. I don't think there's going to be a huge drop-off in wins and losses if we get the extra first-round pick and we can shore up another position, or we can use that first-round pick and go to the, hypothetically speaking, go to the Indianapolis Colts and say, here's a 1 for Michael Pittman Jr., or you can trade that one and get some picks back later on.
22 pick on Pittman.
Right.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Who would?
I mean, that's a hypothetical at the end of the day, but I'm just, I'm going to be torn if Lamar goes, but at the end of the day, we cannot commit franchise suicide for the one guy. We saw what it did to you guys with Joe, and I know that you probably feel that way all over again, even though, being as though that you're a retired player from the team.
It killed us.
It killed us.
I'm not going to necessarily say it killed us, because they paid Joe and then they turned around and they paid Elvis Dumerville. I think they paid him $80 or $85 million.
Yeah, it was like $85 million.
Right. So they could have they still could have
Thank
kept
you,
the
Denver
money.
front office.
Right. They still could have kept the money with the organization, or it could have kept the money, and paid the players. But the thing about it is, and I think we talked about it before, Matt, when the head coach wins the Super Bowl, he unlocks certain gifts. And so that's what John Harbaugh did. He unlocked the gift that allowed him to make roster decisions. And that's why I was cut. A couple years later, they didn't re-sign Kerry Williams. They ended up getting rid of trading Ed, which he should have never saw another team. You got Paul Kruger, who they let go. They got Danielle Ellerbe that they let go. I mean, just all of these players that, because we were the players that spoke up. And so, John Harbaugh doesn't like being challenged. He wanted his locker room. He doesn't like being challenged. He wanted his guy. Zibikowski was one of his guys. Haruki Nakamura was one of his guys. All those guys were his guys. They didn't say nothing. They didn't be whatever. They just showed up and worked. Well, when you look at it, for me, I say this. When I think ownership and I think the executives are starting to kind of lean back to, okay, we got to do it our way. We have got to bring guys in. John Harbaugh, you can put your name on it and say, hey, you met with this guy how many times, you interviewed these guys however many times, but ownership is back into making decisions for the Baltimore Ravens, because they have seen, since winning the Super Bowl, the Ravens they've been good, they've been competing, but I don't think anybody really has, when you look internally, nobody's really thought, hey, this is a Super Bowl team. We're going to the Super Bowl. Yeah, and we had
2 playoff wins in 10 years.
Right. And we've had that. And I tell people this all the time. Yeah, we all of our players that played on that Super Bowl team, we all still joke around and like, yo, bro, if we stay together, we could have won 2 to 3 more. And that's no lie. We could have won 2 to 3 more. We should have been the year before. Then when we won that year, we all are. When we had that meeting in the locker room after the parade,
I was going to ask you about that, Bernard.
no, not that meeting. When we had the meeting in the locker room after the parade, after winning the Super Bowl, we all was like, they're like, yo, we coming back. We all understand we come back. We knew Ray was potentially going to retire. We knew Ray was gone. But as far as for the core of that team, we're like, yo, we gonna be back here. Because I had already renegotiated my deal. Ed just needed to get something done. Kerry had 1 year left on his deal. We were like, we're going to be back here. All we got to do is put a couple pieces in place. We had a couple guys that were coming up. We knew we were coming back. And John Harbaugh was just like, oh, heck no. Like, bro, I'm blowing this mess up, and I'm going to do it my way. And his way has gotten, decent teams, competitive teams, but when it comes to postseason, they're not, they can't get over the hump. They're not going to go out there and be nasty. You see guys giving up. You see guys. You just see. I when I watch Ravens games, I'm like, especially after that time, I was like, what in the world are they doing? It was just a completely different look.
Yeah, man, that's rough. Josh, you wanted to ask him a question about a certain meeting. You still have that question?
Oh yeah, I just want to know, man. I've watched so many shows and documentaries, not documentaries, but like interviews about it from even you. But what was that like, man? What was, put us in there.
So I tell people, so, I just talked with Terrell, but me and Kerry talk about this all the time. To give people context, we had just played the Houston Texans, and if y'all remember, we went into Houston and we got thumped on.
Oh yeah, that was terrible.
Right. So we go into Houston, and before the game, John Harbaugh me and Ed, our locker, our away lockers, our home lockers were right next to each other, because we would always writing plays up and just write just different things on how we could communicate and do different things. And so a lot of the guys were outside already going through pregame, and I had did my routine as far as my contrast, cold tub, hot tub, and then, seeing a chiropractor, doing different things. And so I had came to the locker and I had wrote up a note. It was his music on his headphone. I wrote up a note, gave it to him, showed him like, this is what I want to do in this play. And he looking at his stuff, listening to music, wrote it back. And so we just didn't communicate. We just always just write stuff. And so I would throw my tablet over to him. He'd throw his tablet back to me. and we'll just be just going back and forth. And so John Harbaugh comes, and he just like we sitting there. He just comes in between the both of us, and we turn and look at him, and Ed pulled his headphones down, and I'm just kind of sitting there. I'm like, we like, what up? And he was just like, he said, I'm telling you right now. He was like, we're throwing this ball everywhere. I don't care if we throw interceptions. I don't care if we get sacked. He was like, we're going to throw this ball, and we're going to just put points up on the board. We're not running the ball. We're throwing it. And we're like, Ed goes, hey, boss, don't do that. He's like, don't do that. He's like, we don't need to come in hostile environments and do this. He said, let's stick to our plan. Let's do what we do best. He said, run Ray. So he's sitting there, and I was just like, I said, look, man, I said, y'all can't put us in bad positions. I said, we haven't been playing a run well. I said, you can't put us in bad positions because they keep the leg up, and then with us being in this hostile environment, if they catch that energy, we don't want to be in that. No, we gonna run. We gonna throw the ball everywhere. So we get in the game. Obviously, we get our behinds wet. And then we come back, we come in the locker room, and everybody kind of just look at each other pissed off. And we just whatever. We get on the plane, we head back. And then we get into meetings that Monday. So Monday we come in for meetings, and Harbaugh was standing at the front. And it was to the point because, and let me rewind a little bit. So Harbaugh would always come into meetings, and we had a joking group. Like our entire team, everybody was jokesters. Like obviously Terrell Suggs and him and Vontae, they all were crazy off charts, and we all were crazy off charts, but they were like on another level. So every time he come in, Vontae would be like, Vontae would say, "It's me," because he called Harbaugh an eye guy. So Harbaugh would always, he would tell the camera crews to always find him on the sideline so he can try to amp up the crowd or pump up the crowd. And we like, bro, like you the coach, dude. Like, what are you doing? Like, we literally. I'm telling y'all, he listened to music on the sideline. He was not in tune with the other coaches. He listened to music. So I'll give y'all that. What? So
I've never heard that.
So we were sitting there, and we get into meetings on Monday, and he goes, guys, I have no idea what happened. I don't know what the coaches then were thinking. Like, I don't know what happened to the game plan. And I look back at Ed. And I just stand up. I go, don't you lie. I go, don't lie. I go, you know exactly what you did. And you know exactly what you told us before the game. And Ed was just like, he ain't lying. He was like, you know what you said. And so he was like, no. What are you talking about? I go, don't lie to me, dog. I go, don't act dumbfounded and act like you don't know what you told us before the game. I said, you told us you're going to throw that ball all around. I said, you put Joe in the compromising position. You put our receivers and you put our O-line. I go, we run the ball to break them down and we work off the play action. But you completely blew up the game plan and start doing it. And he lied again. And I was just like, so you just going to lie to me as a man. So now everybody looking at me like, yo, or they looking at him like, hey, man, you said this? And like Joe them looking like, so that's what happened. So then now we all sitting there and we was like, look, man. And so that's when everybody just stood up and just was like, yo, no, we done with this. The way you practice us, and because it was more of that as well, too. Like he was running us down in practice. Like John Harbaugh is not he's not an X's and O's guy. The reason he got the job was because after Brian Billick, they lost the team. He lost the team. They wanted a disciplinarian to come in. And that's where John Harbaugh came in. He had a military background, and so in practice, we would do double downs. So offense, 1s and 2s would be on one field, 2s and 3s would be on another field, and then we will swap. But we will always be doing reps, so we were always moving. And we're like, look, man, we can't keep doing this. Our body's breaking down. And so he wanted us to keep doing it. And we finally said, we didn't go out to practice. We said, no, we're not going out to practice. And so it was that Monday. We were like, we're not doing it. And so they came out. He had his assistant, and I'm not even going to talk about that one. So nevertheless, he had his assistant come in, and she came in, and she was just like, Coach said y'all need to be out of practice. Just walked in the locker room. And as she would, guys be butt naked, she would walk through the locker room. We'd be like, look, man, get out of here. What the freak you doing? So nevertheless, so we all was like, get out. And so we all stayed in the locker room and talked. And we were just like, we ain't going out there. So John Harbaugh came in. He was like, so y'all not going to come outside? And we was like, no, we already told you, bro. We was like, get out the locker room. So he got out the locker room. And that's where it's a little bit more to that meeting, but that's what popped it off. And I'll just tell my what I said. So, it's just he didn't like being challenged and he didn't like being called out because he lied. And he put our offense, he put our team in a compromising position. And then he even with Cam Cameron, he didn't want to fire Cam Cameron. We stood up, we had a meeting. It was myself, Terrell, Haloti, Sam, Ray, Ed, and Joe, Ray Rice, and Quan. So, and then Brian McKinney. So we all was in the group as far as talking to Harbaugh. So we will go to Harbaugh after every game and let him know how the team was feeling. He didn't. So it was one day where we walked up. I walked up there first because something had happened in a game or on the away trip with his assistant who lied on me. And so they've never seen my sisters. So my sister, my mom and them live in. We end up playing a team at an away game, and my mom and my sister and her friend came to the game. Well, I'm married. I ain't never been in trouble. I'll never do nothing. And so, nevertheless, his assistant, my sister and them stayed on his assistant's floor at the hotel at the away game. So I walked my sister and her friend back up to the room with my mom. So I walked them up to the room, and I went back to my room after chapel. So his assistant called him, Harbaugh, and told him that I was with women. So I'm looking like, women? So Harbaugh calls my room. So this is like 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. He called my room, and I'm like, yo, what up? He was like, you sneaking around? I'm like, sneaking around? I'm like, bro, like, what? He was like, you was with 2 women. I go, my sister and her friend? I said, I walked them back to the room. And so he was like, oh, that was your sister? I was like, yes, you want to meet her and her friend and my mom? And so the next day, his assistant comes to me like, oh, Bernard, I'm so sorry. And my mom was right there. My mom was like, yo, like, ma'am, when you put out stuff like this, like my son is married. So when you say he's out here running with other women, that's bad business. You don't put that out there. So me and her, I went up there to address him after that game. So I addressed him, and he said something, and I stood up and I went to go grab him around his throat. And I told him, I said, look, man, I said, don't you ever, because he cussed at me. He cursed at me and like said he was going to do something. So Haloti and Terrell come up in the meeting, and Anquan come up in the meeting, and they come in the meeting room where we met at, and I'm literally on Harbaugh, and Anquan was just like, yo, get off, like, stop, like, Bernard. And so Harbaugh just like grabbed me and like, I'm so sorry, like hugged me. It's like, I'm sorry. And I'm just kind of sitting there while he hugging me, and Anquan still makes fun of me to this day because he's like, yo, remember that hug? So he still makes fun of me to this day about that. But it's just a lot that went on with Harbaugh not wanting to be challenged. And he's just an insecure man. He's just really an insecure man. And I don't hate him. What they did was bad ball, him and Ozzie. I had a contract I was going to finalize the contract with the Colts after they cut me. And I was fine with being cut. I'm like, okay, you want to separate the team? That's fine. So I had a contract with the Colts. And I was flying. I'm about to fly from Overland Park, Kansas, or Kansas City, to Indianapolis to finalize a contract with Chuck Pagano, who had just took over as a head coach. And I'm on my way to Indianapolis. Ozzie calls me, and he goes, hey, you didn't finish your exit physical. I was like, we finished our exit physicals in New Orleans. I said, Ozzie, I finished my exit physical. I said, Ozzie, I got a team that I'm going to. I go, y'all cut me, let me go. So he was like, well, no, you got to fly back to Baltimore. Literally they flew me back to Baltimore on a red eye. I touched down in Baltimore. I got in a cab, drove all the way to the doctor's office. I was in the doctor's office for, I think, 1 minute. Left out, and then the Indianapolis Colts signed LaRon Landry. So that's what happened. And I told y'all my camera was going to go out. It's crazy. I think Baltimore got something to do with this.
That's insane, man. We had heard throughout the years, the story, but Josh, taking us on a stroll down memory lane.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's insane.
It's crazy
that they pulled that.
It's a lot of stuff that nobody knows, and this is why I don't argue with people about football. I want fans to be fans. I want fans to understand, like step into this position and just enjoy what you talk about. But when people come in like, you don't know what you're talking about, you hate, and I'm just looking like, okay, I've been in
You
that
don't.
room.
Well, until your first interview with Matt, we all thought you were just a Ravens hater.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing, though. I've been following you on Twitter for a while now, man, and you don't argue football. You argue stupidity related to football
Right.
more so than anything else.
Right.
And that's why I hit you up earlier because I saw you going at that lawyer dude. I
Oh
was
my
like,
gosh.
oh, here we go. Like this guy is sitting there calling bullshit on the whole thing with Lamar, and you literally took. He had a tweet that was about as long as my phone screen,
Oh my gosh.
and you literally shut him down in like a 4 or 5 sentence paragraph, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good. I was like, I need to text him real quick.
Yeah, man.
So I got you while you were red hot with that. It's like these people are just like, and I'm not saying I'm more of a know-it-all or Josh is or my brother, but we try to be objective in the way we see things and put
Right.
ourselves in the situations and not be super fans with the purple shades on all the time.
Right.
It's a very tense situation right now, and I'm glad you decided to come on tonight because we can only speculate as fans and as content creators.
Right.
I'm not saying that you have a direct connection to the organization now, but you had to deal with these people directly on multiple occasions, and you know how they get down. And I wanted to ask you, you brought up Ozzy. Do you think it was kind of a last-ditch effort that they got Ozzy involved in the contract negotiations with Lamar leading up to 4 o'clock today?
Ozzy is always, I mean, as long as Ozzy is in that building, his fingerprints are going to be on everything. I mean, where did Eric DeCosta learn? Who did he sit under? He sat under Ozzy. Ozzy still has an office in the building. Ozzy is there for a reason. Ozzy is at practice. He's still evaluating. He just doesn't have the title that he had, but he's still making decisions and helping them make decisions. So, for a lot of people who are saying, oh, it's a race thing, they just being racist to the black man. I'm like, a black man moved up and drafted him. Like, what? A black man is still in there, trying to talk for him. And it's not I can't, like, all these, even these analysts with ESPN, I'm just looking like, come on. I'm like, y'all played for a lot of guys that played I'm like, y'all played the game. But I know a lot of people don't know the business side because they had agents. So they don't know how to talk that language. They don't know what's been said. I literally have negotiated with general managers. I've talked to the financial guys. I know how it works. I understand the language. I understand how they put the verbiage and how they try to screw you on the verbiage. I get all of that. And so, as I said, Ozzy is there. Ozzy is going to be there until Ozzy wants to walk away. I look at this situation and I hope they can get something done with Lamar. I really do. I hope they can get something done. As of right now, for Lamar, I don't think it's going to be a good situation for him to even be in that locker room. Like, can he? Right. I think everything's done. I really do. I honestly think it's all done now, and they've got to figure out a way how to ship him out and get as much as they can, because they know the more he doesn't show up, and then if he doesn't really know the offense, I mean, yeah, they can say, okay, well, you're getting a player that won an MVP and this player has done whatever, but, there's still some baggage that come with him with the injuries. And then, now you were in an offense that was catered to you. Now you're going to be in this open up offense who we need you to make decisions and, you to go through your progressions the right way, for you to make checks and everything else. And you're going to have to put our team in winning positions all the time, consistently. And then another thing that everybody got to realize, any team he goes to, he's not going to have a Justin Tucker that's going to bail him out and kick 65-yard, 70-yard field goals. So, I mean, we got to understand that one too, because a lot of games that was won off of, and yes, Lamar helped them get down in positions, but still, a lot of them teams, they look like, bro, hey, you need to get where we 43 yards out, because we ain't got a kicker that you've been used to. So it's just like now he's in a position where he's almost got to play flawless. And so the Ravens got to get as much as they can, as much capital as they can right now for him. And I think from now until the draft, they can't wait to minicamp and things of that nature, because I think they lose leverage with other teams if they try to ship him off late.
I wanted to ask you though. Me and Josh were talking about this earlier, Josh, and I know you were worried about that too. Hypothetically speaking, Lamar does stay, and he's at that $40 million cap number. The Ravens have 24 million in cap. Even if he takes a backloaded contract, which I highly doubt he's going to do any favors to us in the
Right.
salary cap department, he's going to want his money and he's going to want it now. Now you're looking at the prospect of having to cut Calais Campbell, Kevin Zeitler, Gus Edwards,
Chuck.
Chuck Clark.
Yeah.
Peters doesn't have a chance of coming back. You're going to lose Ben Powers. So now you're talking about not just replacing backup guys, you're talking about replacing
Cornerstone pieces.
cornerstone pieces. Will that
Right.
further divide the locker room, Bernard?
I think it will. I look at this whole situation, man, and it's just one of those things, man, where they've got to make a decision because it's just a lot that potentially can happen. And I just don't. I don't necessarily. I just don't. It's a lot that they have to give up in order to accomplish something for one player. And I just don't know if I like that. They can make things work. They can make it work. They made it work with Joe. They can make things work. But now they're going to have to build, more so through the draft. And they're going to have to probably. It's a lot that I could say. So yeah, I just hope they make it work.
Fair enough. Fellas, do y'all have anything to add before we wrap this show?
Nah, man, I just hope this shit ends soon. Either way,
Yeah.
he's staying or he's not.
Get what we can get.
Yeah, my emotions can't take much more of it.
Yeah, it's definitely emotional. But I want to thank my brother Drew. Thank you for coming on, man. Bernard, thank you so much. Before we wrap this show up, let everybody know where they can catch your new show with Kerry Williams.
Oh man, that's the 1223 podcast. That's you can catch us on Twitter. We're at the 12.23 podcast. Instagram, we do little things on Instagram, the 12_23 podcast. So yeah, man, we're having a blast. It's a lot of fun. We're obviously trying to build the audience and getting content and everything else out there, but we're talking ball and we're giving it to you from a player's perspective, former players obviously, but man, we're just talking life, faith, and family, and that's kind of what we're doing, and football obviously. So yeah,
Absolutely. Whenever this Lamar saga is over, I would love to have you and Kerry come on for a joint show, man.
Oh
Oh,
my
man,
God,
that'd be
Kerry
fun.
Williams is one of my favorite players.
hey,
Hey,
Love
we
him, man.
so that was we can make that happen in the works if you guys are down for it. I know you're a friend of the show, you're a friend of us, and we appreciate you, man. Adam, I know you're listening, man. You can go ahead and sign us off. Josh, before you go, do your thing, man.
All right, Ravens fans, it's going to be over soon, guys. It'll all be good. We're going to shut it down.